Self-doubt is a huge deal that most of us, including myself, face on a daily, an hourly, a minute-by-minute basis. And I've just been listening to an amazing mentor of mine who is hugely successful and extremely inspirational and says so much powerful stuff, and I just felt compelled to share a bit because it really resonated with me. Because self-doubt and lacking confidence and feeling low and having lack of self-worth and all these sort of stuff is something that I've certainly battled with, at least since I started, or at least I recognized it probably for the last 10-15 years really. And not having confidence really just stifles your ability to progress and be productive and to do good things and even just to enjoy and get fulfillment out of life. And the opposite and the counter to this, which this guy Ed was saying, was you got to have two things, and you do these two things and they are the unbelievable mountain movers that will help you build that self-confidence. But even before he got that, he mentioned these four big false beliefs or fears that we have, and I probably won't be able to remember all of them, but this fear of I can't even remember the first one. Not whilst driving because I can't multitask, but he was basically saying that whenever you do have these limiting thoughts, these negative thoughts, these self-deprecating thoughts, these things of I can't do this, or I can't do that, or I'm no good, I'm not worthy, or I'm gonna fail, or I don't look good and therefore I'm not a good person, or that person said this about me and so it must be true, and all these sorts of things, which is not true. It's false belief. That's not who you are as a person. You are you are not what other people say about you. You're not your accomplishments, you're not your achievements. You are you. And I really resonated with that. And he was saying how whenever those negative thoughts do come in, one of the things that he does as a technique to over time reduce and eradicate those thoughts is to imagine that those thoughts are basically being played to yourself in your mind on an old school record player. The record player is spinning around, you've got the little needle sticking in it, and that thought of I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough is going round and round on the record player. And what he would do mentally, visually in his mind would be to basically pick up that record and scratch it off, scratch that thought away. And I'm quite a big believer in sort of meditation and visualization and all this sort of stuff, and some of it does seem a bit woo-woo sometimes or whatever it might be, but I also believe that it's massively important. Top athletes mentally rehearse themselves performing again and again and again before they go and run the race, or whatever it might be. And so this mental rehearsal thing does work, it's proven. So I like this technique as it relates to negative thoughts, because negative thoughts are a dime a dozen. We get them every single minute, every single day. It's crazy. Resistance is big, right? But then what do you do with them? Most of us just wallow in them and repeat them to ourselves and say them again and again, and we focus on them, and then they just expand and expand and expand, and before you know it, you're in a crushing cycle of extreme anxiety, or you'd end up having a panic attack or whatever it might be. It could just be awful and just debilitating. So I like this idea of placing it visually onto a record player, scratching it off, and it comes up again, you scratch it off. And he was saying, and I've done similar techniques like this before in the past, but it just resonated with me this morning, this idea. And so as well as that, he said there are two main things, like I mentioned before, there are two main things that most people can do right now to really start to build rock solid, unbelievable self-confidence. And it's so true, because when you don't do these two things, when I'm about to say them, you realize that actually that does the opposite of self-confidence. It starts to eat away at your motivation, your self-worth. And the first one is keeping your promises to yourself. Oh my god, that is just huge. Keeping your promises to yourself. So whatever you say you're going to do to yourself and to other people, do it and follow through on it. And the biggest thing for me, where over the last decades where I haven't done this, and I do beat myself up about not doing it, is, you know, one example is going to the gym, regularly working out. You know, I have this vision of, like, you know, going to the gym regularly, you know, building muscle, building strength, building the physique that I would like to have one day. And I've kind of never really got there, and that's because I've failed to keep promises to myself, you know, regularly, consistently. And all I'm really doing is I'm chipping away at my self-confidence, and then it's setting me up for, you know, a difficult, challenging time mentally, and it's taking away strength from my mind. And so I've heard this before, you know, keep the promises to yourself, but it's so true. You know, because the more you do that, even with the little things, like, you know, I'm going to wake up at a certain time, and you do it, you don't hit the snooze button like 10 times, because when you do that, you wake up and you start your day and you think, I didn't do what I said I was going to do, and I don't feel that great about that. And it's just not a great way to start the day. And then all those little things compound and stack on each other, and before you know it, you know, you've had a dodgy day, you've had a dodgy week, you've had a dodgy month, and, you know, you're not feeling super pleased with yourself as a person. And so it speaks volumes, you know, because when you do have those moments in life where you are in the flow and you are doing what you're saying you're going to do, and you do start to stack those in your favor, you feel good, you feel confident, you feel, you know, you feel a bit of a buzz. You know, when you go to the gym, if you're a gym person, and you have a good workout, and maybe you've done that consistently for a little bit of time, you know, there's these feelings of, you know, euphoria and feeling good, and that's a little bit of what we're talking about. And then the second thing that he said, as well as keeping the promises to yourself, was giving yourself credit for your achievements, for your mini successes. And sorry, actually no, that's not what he said. He said giving yourself credit for your intentions, because, you know, sometimes your achievements are neither here nor there. You can't really control them, right? But giving yourself credit for your intentions to do good things, to do X, Y, Z. And I thought that was just a real subtle, game-changing perspective on that. First of all, actually taking the time to give yourself credit in and of itself is huge. I mean, I'm definitely, you know, because I'm just so busy moving on to the next thing, oh, I've got to do this, I've got to achieve that, and I've got this, like, goal, and the goalposts keep moving forward, which is, you know, an entrepreneur's curse, I guess. But actually just stopping, reflecting, and this helps when you're consistent with your journaling practice normally, like, what have I done today, what am I grateful for, blah blah blah, what went well, what didn't go well. That's why journaling is so powerful. Again, something else I probably haven't followed through on when I said I wanted to, all the time anyway. But giving yourself credit for those intentions, like, I have a good intention to wake up consistently every morning so that I can build a future business that will, you know, set my family up for success and all this sort of stuff, or whatever it might be. Have a good intention for, you know, doing this side hustle. Having good intention for, you know, cooking dinner for my family, even though the dinner came out horrible because, you know, I didn't follow a recipe and it went badly, but my intention was good. And so giving myself credit for that, and therefore that is like another little positive injection boost of, you know, self-worth. And all those little things build up on themselves, compound, just like the other thing that I mentioned. You know, they compound and they start to build your self-confidence. So, but if I just felt compelled to share that, you know, if you resonate with that, let me know in the comments. Yeah, hope you have a good day today. Follow if you like this sort of stuff. You know, normally I talk about doggy, truffly stuff, but actually, you know, a big part of who I am is someone who is striving for want of a better word, success, but striving to build a purposeful, driven business where I can actually have an impact on the world. So yeah, doing that, you kind of need to go down this entrepreneurial path, and entrepreneurship it's also another path or a gateway to personal development, and I'm already a personal development junkie, so yeah, you may be getting a few more bits of content from me like this going forward. So without further ado, see you on the next one. Bye.